good afternoon, everybody. It's Kwanzaa time. Brother Zamu Sankofa just told you so. And Harambe means let's pull together. Habarigani, what's the news? Well, today the news is Jamaa, which means familyhood and cooperative economics. And we're going to explore Jamaa all day long right here on Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari. But y'all also know what time it is. It's story time. And when we do story time with Pop Pop Grow Something and his friends. So Pop Pop Grow Something brought a special friend with him today, Auntie Oni Lasana. She's going to be our featured storyteller, but I'm going to turn it right now to Pop Pop Grow Something to make sure he introduces Auntie Oni in the right way. Pop Pop, it's on you.
When you hear that juice harp, you know it's time to tell a story. Pop Pop Grow Something. That was my grandfather. And when I blow that juice harp, I blow in honor of my Pop Pop Grow Something, because the stories came from him and the stories came from his daddy, and those stories were passed down from me now to you. Oh, man. Baragani. Jamaa. That's the response. What's the news? Baragani. Jamaa. That's cooperative economics. It's going into business for yourself, and we supporting our own businesses. No matter be they craft people, be they vendors, be they black businesses on Shelton Avenue. Let's support our own. Spend that money and let it circulate amongst us so we can build our wealth. So look, yesterday, and my charge in groundings by Brother Shamari is to bring you some different voices, some new voices for Kwanzaa. And we got one today. Yesterday, we brought you a man who was a foot soldier in the Cultural Revolution of the 60s. He was right there. Brother G2 Sungare worked his way on up. He became a WRTI legend. He came to you yesterday. He opened it up and told us how it was in the 60s and where they did their first Kwanzaa in the pool hall. But today, I got Oni Lasana. Oni Lasana comes to us. Auntie Oni. That's my auntie. Auntie Oni. She's from my neighborhood, y'all. And that's the thing you got to keep in mind. The people you grow up with may be your fellow storytellers because y'all share experiences. Y'all share stories. Me and Oni share experiences of the valley and the Cool World Valley. Auntie Oni, she's a soul sister in the Cool World Valley. And plus, she's a beloved and dear poet of the people. She does Paul Laurence Dunbar. You got to see her do that. But today she's going to bring you a story about Jamaa, cooperative economics. And I know you want to hear Auntie Oni. I want you to listen to her because she's clear. Listen to her. Auntie Oni, the floor is yours.
Give thanks, Nasheed, and all my people in Philly. What I want to do is, I want to, in the spirit of Jamaa, cooperative economics, I want to mention something that we've had in Philly for quite a long time that we missed this year because of the situation in the nation. And what we missed was, we missed the International Locks Conference, International Locks Conference, Holistic and Beauty Conference. And one of our ancestors that we missed this year is Mama Kusuwa.
Yeah.
And Mama Kusuwa had a great impact in our community. And I wanted to remember her and to call her name on this day because she was much about cooperative economics for a lot of us storytellers, artists, vendors in the Black community. The Locks Conference evolved from Sharon Goodman back in the 80s. We were together. I was a foot soldier for the Locks Conference when we used to have it way back in the day, different venues. Also Zakia Ali, Yvette Smalls was a hair braider. And all these were wonderful queens and movers and shakers of our community that we missed so sorely this year because of the situation that we're dealing with. So I just like to shout out Mama Kusuwa, she's our ancestor now, Sharon L. Goodman, Yvette Smalls, and Zakia Ali, who were the original Kumba sisters, and the whole Kumba family that we miss and we love, Kusuwa's daughters. Hopefully next year we'll be able to carry on this wonderful gathering of our people. Again, it would have been the 26th anniversary of the International Holistic Locks Conference, Holistic and Beauty Conference, Natural Hair and Beauty Conference. So today, what I'm doing is I am featuring on my podcast. I have a podcast, Kwanzaa Time with Auntie Oni, and today's feature is someone from our history. And a new generation are coming up now might not be familiar with this woman that you might see if you're on the Zoom, you might see her in the background. Her name was Maggie Lena Walker. And though my voice is sort of challenging for me to speak right now, what I'd like to do is just give you a little bit of her actual speech that she gave back in the early 1900s. Maggie Lena Walker speaks. Maggie Lena Walker was the first African-American businesswoman who owned and founded the first bank in America. Not only did she start up a bank for our people, she also started up her own newspaper, and she also started up our own department store in Richmond, Virginia. So I'm going to share with you her story in her voice, and I'm going to move out a little bit so you can see her, to those of you who are on Zoom. If you see me in the back, then you're going to actually see her bank that she started. It continued into existence into the 1970s. So I'm going to be sharing with you her actual speech that she gave to children, because she also started a children's school in Richmond, Virginia. I came to talk especially to you children myself because I do love children. I was born Magdalena Mitchell on July 15th, 1867 in Richmond, Virginia. It was right after the Civil War, and I was born a free person, not a slave. I became the first African-American woman in America to own a bank. Yes, children, I practice Jamaa, cooperative economics, because I started up my own bank, newspaper, and a department store. I hired many African-Americans who, because the color of their skin, they couldn't get jobs after the war ended. These good people needed work just like everybody else. This is my true story, and I hope you will listen so you will be inspired to be your best self. As a young girl, I went to the old Lancaster School where I learned to read and write and do arithmetic. School and learning, somebody's microphone is on. School and learning was something very difficult, but it was important because someone said that reading and writing was like riding the wind. You could go anywhere, and I believed it. My father was killed when I was 9 years old, but we never found out who did it. So my mother was left with me and my little brother, Johnny. I spent most of my time helping my mother and taking care of Johnny because mother had to keep food on the table, so she earned the money by washing and ironing clothes for people. We didn't have washing machines back in those days, so I carried buckets of water and kept the fires burning under the washing pots. When mother finished ironing and folding the clothes, I would carry them to the people's houses and collect the money. In my playtime, I loved to be outside sitting on the steps, watching people going to the stores and the banks. I remember one Sunday I was playing near the First Baptist Church, and a lady came up to me and asked me to come inside. She introduced me to all the Black folks in the church, and they were praying and they was working together to upbuild the community. Well, I was 14 years old and I was still in school, but I joined the local council of the Independent Order of St. Luke. It was a local self-help organization, and we helped people who was very poor. We called it the Good Idea Council. We called it the Good Idea Council because people came up with good ideas on how to help people when they were sick and to help them bury the dead. At 16, I graduated from high school and I went to college. I studied hard to become a teacher. My education allowed me to do two things that I really, really loved: working for the Independent Order of St. Luke, and the other was teaching to children. It was a joy, teaching my students to ride the wind in a book. I felt a strong commitment to help my people. I worked hard teaching and helping wherever I was needed. Because of my hard work, I was soon elected as leader of the organization. And along with my fellow workers, we started a newspaper, the St. Luke Herald, and I was the editor. We printed stories about our people and how we could help one another. I saw the need for a bank where Black people could save their money and turn nickels into dollars. We decided to name it the Penny Saving Bank, and I became the president of the bank. Oh, it was a great day when the bank opened. The choir sang and there was a band and great speeches about how our community could join together to do great things in business. Many people thought we was crazy and that the bank would never succeed. But we put our money together and we made it work. A few years after the St. Luke Penny Saving Bank opened, we, the women of St. Luke's, we started another business. And we opened the St. Luke Emporium, a department store on Broad Street in Richmond, Virginia, side by side, all the big businesses in downtown Richmond. We sold clothes, playthings, tools, and home goods to our people. You know, it was segregated in those days, so it was a need to have our own businesses. All of these good things I started up, the newspaper, the bank, the emporium, they were possible because we put our hands and our brains and our might together. We made jobs for ourselves and we was very successful. When I became older, I became ill and I was paralyzed. And I finally had to use a wheelchair, but that didn't stop me. I continued in my work in the cause of Black unity and self-determination. I served on the board of directors of the NAACP, the Urban League in Virginia, and I gave money to schools to educate young Black women. Because of my work of service, I received many honors for doing good in the home, in the church, and in the world. My friends, there is no reason why any man, woman, or child should stand idly by with folding arms, saying there's nothing else they could do. Because with education, determination, and cooperative economics, you can do anything if you really try. So I want to leave you with something very important. For all of you to unite your heads and hearts, and heads and hearts. I don't know what happened here, this stupid thing here. Something came up. Can you still hear me?
Yes, keep going.
All of you to unite your heads and your hearts and your hands and save your money spend it in your community, and always be strong against injustice. Now, if you want to know more about Maggie Lena Walker, you can just search my name on the computer. Thank you for listening to my story.
And thank you, Auntie Oni Lasana, for offering your story. And thank you for that. Setting for our conversation today, Ujamaa, familyhood, cooperative economics, us coming together, supporting ourselves, supporting one another for the name and the building of our nation. Thank you, Pop Grow Something, for bringing Auntie Oni to us. We're coming up on a commercial break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Mama Maisha and Sister Malay Lady to talk more about the principle of Ujamaa, familyhood and cooperative economics. This is a special Kwanzaa celebration brought to you by WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. We will talk with you after these messages.
Need a new mattress? Stop by to see Julian, the Mattress Man, located at 7421 Stenton Avenue. You deal directly with the owner, Julian, to ensure the best prices on name brand mattresses like Sealy Posturepedic. Call 215-424-5550. That's 215-424-5550.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach with tips to help you stay well. Let's talk about eating mindfully. Often we are rushing from moment to moment and we hurry through our eating like it's checking off an item on our to-do list. Each day for each meal, let's commit to doing these 3 simple things to activate our mindful eating experience. Number 1, slow down. Number 2, eat while you're sitting down. And number 3, chew each bite 20 to 30 times. You can do it. Eating mindfully is something we can all do to support our overall health and digestion. Go ahead and try it for your next meal today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at wordradio.com. Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. A deep dive into Harambe. Kwanzaa as a bridge to Nguzo. 365 Black with Brother Shamari. Right now on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com, the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube.
Our task is to know our past and honor it, to engage our present and improve it, to imagine our good future and to forge it.
Umoja, unity. Kuji Chagulia, self-determination. Ujima, collective work and responsibility.
Ujamaa,
cooperative economics. Nia, purpose.
Kumba,
Creativity.
The 7 principles of the Nguzo Saba. Kwanzaa was created to introduce and reinforce 7 basic values of African culture, which contribute to building and reinforcing family, community, and culture among African American people, as well as Africans throughout the world African community. These values are called the Nguzo Saba, which in Swahili means the 7 principles. Developed by Dr. Karenga, the Nguzo Saba stand at the heart of the origin and meaning of Kwanzaa. For it is these values which are not only the building blocks for community, but also serve to reinforce and enhance them. The first principle is umoja, which means unity. To strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. The second principle is Kuji, which means self-determination. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. The third principle is ujima, which means collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. The fourth principle is ujamaa, which means cooperative economics. To build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses and to profit from them together. The fifth principle is nia, which means purpose. To make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. The sixth principle is Kumba, which means creativity. To do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. The seventh principle is imani, which means faith. To believe with all of our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle.
That was the presentation of the principles of Kwanzaa that guide our conversation today as we do a deep dive and a focus almost all week long right here, WURD Radio 96.1 FM 900 AM, focusing on Kwanzaa. Today, we're getting into one of those principles that means a lot for us. And we're talking Ujamaa. And we're talking Ujamaa at 2 levels, y'all. I want to be clear. Ujamaa, most of us talk about it. We talk about cooperative economics. But Ujamaa also is about familyhood. It's about brotherhood and sisterhood. And we want to talk today about that as well. And as we talked yesterday with Mama Maisha, Mama Kwanzaa, Sister Malele, we talked about diving in today on something that she birthed, and I believe it's back in 1993. That was the article, the date of the article where I saw it, where she outlined using the Nguzo Saba as a family assessment and really regrounding in our culture and using that as a way. And I know when I used to run mentoring programs, and I did a lot of diversion programs with DHS and juvenile justice, one of the things that judges always said is that one of the primary determinants of whether or not they would send a child away for out-of-home placement was their assessment of that child's family. Like outside of the crime, outside of education level, outside of a lot of these other things that we thought about, when you talk to the judges directly in the child welfare system, many of them said they made their decisions. Now, the biggest thing they made their decisions on is race and racism. Let's be clear about that. But the other thing that they said is they tried to do some looking at the child's family to determine whether that family was foundational enough, stable enough, loving, nurturing, all of those things enough to really provide correction for the child. So in that spirit, I want to talk about Ujamaa, I want to talk about family, and I want to talk about how we, use these principles as a basis for our living beyond the holiday, as a way of life. How does the Nguzo Saba become a way of life with a particular focus on Ujamaa? So I'm going to welcome Mama Maisha and Sister Malele back to our conversations. If y'all can unmute, time is yours.
Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa, everyone.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Yeah. So Habari Gani on this day of Ujamaa, this day of cooperative economics. And the word for family in Kiswahili Shomari is Jamaa.
Thank you.
That is the word for family. That's where it comes from, the Ujamaa, the social, yes, the larger family. But the core word itself for family is Jamaa.
Jamaa.
Yeah, Jamaa. So when we were talking about this instrument, when you work in the field and you have to use these these other instruments are imposed on you, these assessment instruments for deciding if someone is functioning well and moving. You know, social workers have them, teachers have them. This is what they're supposed to be grading you on in these tests. You know, you have all these instruments, these tools that they come and they always tell you that they're practice-based and they've been research-based tools and best practices. They tell you all this here, but they never looked at your stuff, you know? So they have this cultural hegemony on what instruments are used, because they only test themselves. They only test what they develop. They only use what they develop. So we were starting to push alternative instruments in the 80s and the early 90s. And, you know, you have some mental health assessment instruments like Dr. Daoud Azibo created a wonderful instrument. And other people have created them. And I was doing family work then, family support work. I was directing a family support center. And I didn't want my workers and my students that my social work students or my social work employees that I supervise, you know, I was telling them, you know, don't come in here and think you just gonna use what you was trained with at school. You know, a lot of the training you get in social work school and the School of Education is so anti our community. It's so contradictory to culture. Like in social work, they tell you to avoid enmeshment. You're not supposed to get close with the clients and you can't be enmeshed. That's the complete opposite in African culture. You got to get in there, right. You know, but that's seen as not being professional and all that. You're getting too enmeshed and you be too, you lose you're too attached and you lose your subjectivity, and they tell you that they want to be attached, but they do it sneakily. So it's the whole thing about it. But this whole thing about enmeshment and detaching yourselves from people you're supposed to be helping and caring about, right there within itself, right? So when I have social work students and I was working, I knew these things ain't work. You do what you do to get through those schools, right? To get your grades, but you know, that ain't the real world.
Right.
That's not the real world. Once you leave there, it's like you in the classroom and you back out in the field. Half that stuff will get you hurt. And you will learn quickly that you can't do most of it. It's ineffective. And for a long time when I was doing the work, I wasn't telling them I wasn't using the instruments. And they were just seeing I was getting better outcome. And they was just questioning. I said, why am I hiding this? Why am I hiding this? I'm not using it. So you got to be willing to make a career-ending decision. That's and step out and challenge them on it, you know. And they
I made a lot of those.
Oh, I do. That's why I got a thick resume. That's why I have a very thick resume, right? You know. So, you know, I got to the point. I said, I'm not hiding that I'm not doing this here. So I'm at the meeting. I'm saying that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. I'm in these case presentations. That ain't work. That ain't what I did. You know. So after a while, and I said, here's the. You know, they say you got the receipts, and this is how. This is the growth in this parent, this mama. This is what she did. All these things that you said was the goal. I got them all doing it this way. You know, so you got to be willing to step out there and do that. So that's how that instrument came. I developed that instrument. I was trying to codify the work that I was doing. And I decided to use the Nguzo Saba as the code, as what I was doing. And so you talk about family, strength, and all that kind of stuff. It's unity. It's the principle of Umoja.
Were you able to dig it up? Did you find it?
No, I didn't even look for it.
See, I got it. See, I did my homework. So
yeah, I was looking for the other thing for you, the compliments to the Nguzo Saba. Now I was looking for that.
All right, so what I want to do is I'm going to read through the framework and just let you kind of speak into each one from a family assessment perspective, because I believe that we can begin to look into families, but we can also look into our communities and see if these things are being offered as a way of being.
That's how the Saruj Thai assessment one I wrote. That's more community building. That one lends more to community building. Yeah.
So let's start. I'm gonna read it as you wrote it. And then I'm just one by one, just please respond. And this is from the article in 1993. If I get permission, I'm gonna upload this somehow, because I think that this should be available for the village. Just part of it says those who choose to use.
You're gonna ask me? Do you gonna ask me? Can you make it available to the village?
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm gonna ask for permission.
All right. Okay.
I said that, Mama. Those who choose to use the Nguzo Saba must find creative and purposeful ways to incorporate them into their personal and professional lives.
I want to say one thing. If you want to make it available to the village, I would like to look at it and I would like to update it and make it a little bit more current.
Okay. Well, I'm going to send you all of this stuff.
We talking about 93. We talking about almost, 20 years ago?
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, so I would like to.
Actually, that's almost 30 years ago, Mama.
Oh wow! Okay, see, there you go. I really need to look at it. So I want to update it and make it more current, so I can use current examples, right? Okay.
So the rest of the sentence says the practitioner should aim to enable families to incorporate the principles and values of the Nguzo Saba into their daily lives. So let's start with the first one. Umoja, unity. Discuss and assess the emotional climate of the family, the level of stability and supportiveness, assess causes of estrangement, types of relationships, and ability and willingness to maintain healthy relationships within the family and community.
Well, and that's one of the first things you do when you're working with families. You want to know just, how cohesive the family is. What are the challenges? You first want to assess the strengths. This is a strength-based perspective. Most things are not. They're deficit based. Sometimes I'm going in with the assumption that it's there, right? You going in with the assumption that these are there. Other people go in with the assumption that it's not. Right. So I go in automatically with the strength-based perspective. And so you want to see, just what the family, and we're not just talking about the biological family either. That's another separation from the European ones. They finally got around to it and call it kinship care and all these other people in the circle. After we pushed them to do that, leaving out the so-called play cousins and play aunts. I said, they more real than the blood ones. You better not mess with that. So we had to push this in the profession. So you have to go in and assess the strengths of the families. And then that's where you can assess if there's some challenges. I never say there's a weakness. There's just a challenge. There's something that needs some scaffolding, needs some support, right?
So what I want to do, before we go to commercial break, I want to get to Kuji, Jakalia, and Ujima. And then when we come back from commercial, I want to pick up with Ujamaa, today's focus, and do the rest of it. Okay, and I hear myself echoing in the background, so I don't know if somebody has the radio on or something, but so Kuji, Jagalia, self-determination. It reads, assess the level of family motivation, personal and collective empowerment, and interdependence. Look for oppressive and coercive relationships and the silencing of the voices of the vulnerable, which includes seniors, women, children, and the disabled. Assess ability to navigate external systems in the best interest of the family, and those external systems would be schools, housing, social services, and healthcare. Kuji, Jagalia.
That's like, your ability to go in somewhere and flip it and turn it upside down. If they're, speak for yourself in these institutions, no matter where it's at, where someone challenged you being able to access resources and things that you are entitled to and your family need, you have to be able to speak up and have self-determination to navigate these systems. So you can't be a passive person in a hostile world where people don't even want to get your so you have to be a strong, assertive person. And so you be looking for this, you call it self-determination, but it's what they would call assertiveness. Your ability to be self-advocate and be assertive in your best interest and the best interest of your family. So that's what we will call Kuji Chakalia, self-determination. You would compromise with they're looking for family assertiveness, family motivation, those kind of ways they name it like that. But we say, what's that family's Kuji Chakalia? How self-determining are they? Are they? And then, and I'm always asking family when I hear the children's names, I'll ask them, why did you name them that?
Yeah, right.
And I want to know the thinking behind stuff, because you find a lot out about somebody by what they name something.
That's true.
You name your child a Gucci 21. That tells you something really about the materialism and the things they focus on. So even the naming of children, define how they define, it's a telling sign of a family. If you named after the most popular watch and car and clothes and shoes, that's a telling sign for me when I work with families. So I look at all the names in the family. I say, we got a real materialistic bunch here, right here. So then there are going to be issues around budgeting, priority setting, all the things that goes with materialism comes up you can tell just by how they name themselves.
Right. So let's do Ujima before commercial break. Ujima, cooperative work and responsibility. It says assess cooperativeness of family members, coping strategies, ability and willingness to extend, nurture, and support. Ujima.
Mm-hmm. That's what they call your support system, your support circle. How strong is it? Is it real insular, just your immediate family? Or has it been extended outward where you have even more people? One of the things I would ask families, if you had to borrow $25, how long would it take for you to get it? And where would you get it from? And then you move up. If you had to borrow 50, if you had to borrow 75. So you can tell how vulnerable someone is by how much money they can get on a short notice.
Right.
If they need for an emergency. So this is like real street kind of assessment. This ain't this, this kind of, I can go to the pawn shop, but can you get something from your uncle up the street or your best friend or something to help you get to a job interview? You just might need $20, $30 for a trans pass for the week. So I will up it till I can see where it gets to be a strain on them to get the support they need financially to keep a utility on. So that's all part of the collective work. Are people willing to see you as someone worth investing their money in and extending to you, and all of that. So that's part of it also. So how big is your support circle? Not just how big, how supportive is it to meet your needs? Yeah.
Right. So this is great. Again, we want to go through this step by step because people need to see the functionality of the Nguzo Saba, that it can be a way of building the villages. If it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to protect our elders. What are the principles of village building that we can begin to use all year long? So we're going step by step with this family and I dare say community assessment vehicle to look for and strengthen and fortify the resources and the assets that we have within our community. When we come back, I'm going to shift to Sister Malele real quick so she can give us an update on the Kwanzaa happenings that are going on. And then I'm going to come back to Mama Maisha and go through Ujamaa, Nia, Kumba, and Amani to round out the Nguzo Saba as a way of assessing our strengths and fortifying our strengths in the village. This is a special celebration of Kwanzaa, brought to you by WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. So stay tuned. We'll talk with you after these messages.
I'm Council Member Derek Green. As the holidays approach, we've all heard the news. A vaccine for COVID is coming. However, now is not the time to let our guard down. As COVID continues to spread, keep wearing your mask, practice social distancing, and avoid large get-togethers. It will take time before we all get vaccinated. Until then, keep yourself, your family, and community safe. We will get through this pandemic together. Stay safe and stop the spread.
This WURD Kwanzaa vignette is brought to you by the Curtis Institute of Music. Habari Gani from WURD Radio. The 7 days of Kwanzaa are dedicated to the Nguzo Saba, or the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Today is the 4th day of Kwanzaa, Ujamaa, or collective economics. Let's use today to plan, build, and maintain our own businesses. As a family, seek out and support Black-owned businesses, as well as businesses that support your community. If you're a business owner, consider partnerships that you'd like to initiate or cultivate this year. The onWURD Small Business Program is a great way to immediately partner with us and market your company. While planning family activities for the year, build in opportunities for economic and financial education, as well as entrepreneurship and a plan to invest in your community. Today is a great day to start or renew your onWURD membership and continue to strengthen independent Black media. For more information about Kwanzaa, visit wordradio.com. This WURD Kwanzaa vignette was brought to you by the Curtis Institute of Music. The Curtis Institute of Music educates and trains exceptional young musicians. And to ensure that admissions are based solely on artistic promise, Curtis makes an investment in each admitted student so that no tuition is charged for their studies. Meet Curtis today at curtis.edu. WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach with tips to help you stay well. Let's talk about eating mindfully. Often we are rushing from moment to moment and we hurry through our eating like it's checking off an item on our to-do list. Each day for each meal, let's commit to doing these 3 simple things to activate our mindful eating experience. Number 1, slow down. Number 2, eat while you're sitting down. And number 3, chew each bite 20 to 30 times. You can do it. Eating mindfully is something we can all do to support our overall health and digestion. Go ahead and try it for your next meal today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at wordradio.com. A deep dive into Harambe. Kwanzaa as a bridge to Nguzo. 365 Black with Brother Shamari. Right now on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com, the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube.
And welcome back to our deep dive into Kwanzaa with a focus on the Nguzo Saba, and particularly Ujamaa, and how we use the Nguzo Saba as a way of assessing and strengthening and fortifying our village. So I'm going to jump right back and go to Sister Malele as promised with updates on Kwanzaa events in and around our city, and primarily virtually, because that's the way many of us are going to have to do Kwanzaa this year. So Sister Malele.
Peace, everyone. Habarigani. So I would like to focus on a very important one to give it some extra time and emphasis today. It's going to be taking place this Friday. It normally takes place physically at the Southwest Community Center. They have a Kwanzaa program in which Brother Shamari is very much so a part of. He helped it to also come to us virtually this year. And it starts at 7 p.m. And we are also just really happy that it's still taking place on this day of Imani, January 1st, despite all that we're going through. And Brother Shamar, if you could share the link for it when you can. But yes, and so it's going to be via Zoom. It's something where you can also share with other people and pass it on to them and ask them to join in. There's going to be some drumming. You're going to see some entertainment. There's going to be people speaking. Mama Aisha will be there again, but she'll do more of some showcasing of how to actually set up your Kwanzaa table or talk about some of the symbols and be able to highlight it in that way. So we're really looking forward to it. And the Kwanzaa Cooperative is the organization that Mama Aisha and others of us in the area are a part of. We are with the tri-state area, where we actually will physically come out to places and also do things virtually for your organizations or for groups that you are a part of. And if you're interested in having us, we didn't get too many invites this year, but we know why, this COVID stuff, but we are still available to you virtually as you see us coming through right now too. You can email, and that email address is hire, HIRE, request, REQUEST, @gmail.com. And when you do that, just specify the date, the time, the place, and the estimation of how many people that you think that will be there. And then, we'll communicate with you and get back with you on how we can participate and how we might be able to help you too. And if you prefer to call us instead, that number that you would reach is area code 215-385-0214. So I'm going to cut it there because I know Mama Aisha's on a tight schedule right now. You're all trying to get through Nguzo Saba, so I'm gonna be quiet.
I appreciate your offering, Sister Malele. I'm still hearing myself echo. And for the record, this what I'm reading from comes from the title of the article was African American Families. Title of the journal actually was African American Families. It Takes a Whole Village to Raise a Child. It was produced by the Family Resource Coalition. And again, this is back in the spring of 1993. I'm reading particularly from an article in this edition written by Mama Maisha. It's entitled The Nguzo Saba, African-Centered Values as Tools for Family Assessment, Support, and Empowerment. I actually came across this during my teaching time and used it in some classes. So when we last left, we were at Ujamaa. So I'm going to jump right back in and read Ujamaa. Cooperative economics, assess shared economic base and reality of the family, cooperativeness and sharing of limited resources. Assess provision of material necessities, financial commitments, lifestyle choices, misplaced priorities, and material excesses. Ujamaa.
So, I kind of shared that in terms of just what your support system is like, how supportive and stable it is financially, and not just financially. A lot of times you can get things done and it doesn't involve money, you know. But, you know, we still get things done that can involve a sense of what we would call back in the day bartering.
Right.
You know, you can, so do you have, you know, you may not have the money, but you can trade off a service, and you still know how to leverage what you have. You may not have the money, but you can still leverage something else that can be of value to someone else. So that's all part of the assessing of it. But, you know, just how far you can go to borrow how much money is a major thing, because most people can't get it from a bank, you know, and you can't always got something you can pawn in the pawn shop. So just how deep can you go in your circle to borrow and need, or have you already extended and borrowed everybody out? There ain't nobody left, ain't gonna loan you nothing anymore. That's a sign in itself. That's something that needs to be assessed. How come you keep borrowing and ain't paying it back? You know, so those are the kind of things you do, and that's the real world, you know, because you know you got some people all the time. Every week they come into you, I need $5, $7, and they'll come return it to you, and then you got some that keep coming and they ain't gave you back the last 5 or 7 that they said they was gonna return.
Stop talking about me, Mama Maisha.
You feel seen? You feel seen?
I'm sure my aunt and my sister listening to you right now, saying, "Amen." Tell me about it.
But you know, but that's the real world, and you want your assessment instrument to be rooted in the world that people live in. It can't be rooted on something they done develop on a college campus somewhere. People ain't never been out in the real world, you know. And so it's very important.
Let's go to Nia. Purpose: determine aspirations and goals of the family, level of motivation, and commitment to self-selected goals. And I like this idea of goals for a family, because I don't think a lot of us think about goal setting from a family and a community perspective. Talk a little bit more about Nia.
Well, and then that fits into this whole thing of we were talking about Ujima and the Ujamaa. You should have some family goals based on what the family needs are. You know, the economic needs of the family, the educational needs of the family, the spiritual needs of the family, right? The recreational needs of the family. So all these aspects that keep a family healthy and functioning and engaging with each other, there should be a goal set in all those areas of family functioning, right? And they can be short-term goal or they can be long-term goal, and that becomes a purpose for you to achieve those goals and to do early check-ins and benchmarks, how far along we are into meeting them and why haven't we moved along. So it's an aspect of really getting the family to strengthen itself. They should set some goals. We did this a lot in Say Yes to Education. I had to find out where were these, we work with the family, where were some of the issues going on with these families. I found that early, what children we had to get their credit history straightened out. Their kids already had bad credit.
Right.
The parents done used it up already for the utilities and phones and everything, use the children's names and social security numbers up. So we got to get that straightened up before these children applying for college, you know, because we want them to go to college and all this stuff going to show up under their name already. So I had to work with these, I had to work with their parents. Say, you got to straighten this out. You got to get these bills in your name. You got to get this stuff out of your child's name, you know, when you see it. So these are, and this is things people do for survival, but they don't be thinking along the long-term aspect, how it can impact the child, you know, that you do, and you're using all your kids' particulars, as the Africans call it, you know. So that's a part of goal setting. What things we got that just what we call is part of the underground economy, and how can we lift ourselves as much as we can out of the underground economy? What kind of things, you know, if we only can save $2 a week, save it. Set it for yourself and save it as a goal, and don't touch it, you know, that kind of stuff. So the more we can get from the living on the marginal edges and set goals, because you're very vulnerable the more you are, the deeper you are in the underground economy, you know. So the more you can set things, we can do it. So that's Nia.
And what I want to do is read the last two together, because I know we get close to time. So I'm going to read Kumba and Amani, and then you can, vibe off of both of them. Kumba states, creativity: assess healthy and productive ways of building and enhancing the family and community environment. and the level of commitment to making both home and community conducive to psychosocial development and security. So that's Kumba. And then Amani, faith, determined belief level and commitment to family and community defense, development, and stability. The ability to provide the social context in which family members can have an effective and positive grasp of themselves, society, and the world. Assess their level and areas of spirituality.
Well, the Kuumba one, we're creative people. Sometimes we creative in the wrong way, but we need to have other ways, positive ways of being creative. We might put 10,000 little barrettes in a little girl's hair, being so creative and crazy little hairstyles in the little girl's hair because we so creative, pulling all their hair out, destroying their edges, got all the, so sometimes your creativity can't be one that's a helpful one, this can be overboard. So how can you do these things and enhance your life and enhance the ability of the community? What can you contribute to that and with the resources and the skill set and the creativity you have? And it's not just that you look good and your hair always look good and your kids always look cute. It's more than, they say, oh, you just dress them so nice. That's all the kind of feedback people get. What else can you do? This is one of the ways why I do the Make It and Take It, Shamara.
Mm-hmm.
To show people they got all these aspects of creativity in them that they don't know. Other ways to be a producer of things, not just a consumer. Right. To work with raw materials, and to give people a chance. And most of the time people say, I didn't even know I had that in me. I didn't know I could make stuff. I didn't know I could do this. Yeah. So we have to create those opportunities for people to know they have other ways of creating beautiful things. And I use a lot of recycled materials and reuse. So it's things you can afford, this hold on to instead of throwing it in the trash. And, I try and make the materials I use very accessible. So it's not hard to get, it's not going to hit you hard in your pocket. So and it's very important because if you can make things, you can make your home environment look better, make you feel better about it. You know how to put some curtains up instead of having some raggedy plastic up there in the window. All these things, that will make a difference in the quality of life and make you not feel so depressed that your environment around you looks so bad, And
I think that it was important that we go through these because you showed that the Nguzo Saba can be lived principles. Yes. They can be a way of organizing, assessing, holding one another accountable, supporting one another right every day, right in our village. So I thank you for walking us through that. And I thank you and Sister Malele for joining us. You'll be back on Friday as we close out our celebration on Imani, because I want to make sure, I call you Mama Kwanzaa. I want to make sure that people know that I personally feel that you're one of the most vital forces in keeping Kwanzaa and the spirit of the Nguzo Saba alive in the city of Philadelphia and probably across the nation, but I can only speak for it right here in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. So I thank you for joining us. Coming up on a commercial break, y'all, when we come back, we're going to go global a little bit. I'm looking forward to this. We're going to have a global conversation and share how Kwanzaa is being celebrated across the globe. So stay tuned.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
JD's Auto Body and Painting is hiring talent for the following positions. Assembler, preferably 2 to 3 years experience, able to tear down and reassemble all make and model cars. Painter, must have at least 5 years overall painting experience, including experience in water-based paint and able to prep cars for paint jobs. Auto Body Technician, looking for an A or B technician, must have at least 5 years experience repairing cars. Please send your resume to JD's Auto Body and Painting at Comcast.net. That's JDS Auto Body and Painting at Comcast.net or call 215-848-5949 for more details. JD's Auto Body and Painting is an equal opportunity employer.
As a business owner, hiring and developing people from the community that your company serves is one of the best ways to show commitment to that community. Let WURD Radio help with Livelihood, our new initiative that connects Philadelphians with companies like yours. We'll feature your business, open employment opportunities, and resources to connect your company with talent and ensure that you reach your target demographic. To learn more about how Livelihood can help you build your team, visit wordworks.com. That's WURD works.com. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD. A deep dive into Harambe. Kwanzaa as a bridge to Nguzo. 365 Black with Brother Shamari. Right now on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com, the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube.
And welcome back, y'all, to our deep dive into Harambe, our deep dive into the Nguzo Saba, our deep dive into Kwanzaa, Harambe, let's pull together. And I'm going to do some pulling together today on Ujamaa, cooperative economics, and the idea of and cooperating and how we do that in our economics and in many other ways. So what we're going to do in this hour from 2 to 3, we're going to go global with our Kwanzaa. I'm going to play some segments and some links and some feed from a group, the Teaching Artists Institute, and their Global African Kwanzaa segments. They're actually on right now. They've been on all week from 2 to 3, every day during Kwanzaa. And what they do is they have people from Tanzania and people from Zambia and people from the Netherlands and people from Suriname and people from Baltimore, Maryland, and people from Cleveland, Ohio, all coming together virtually to share a common embrace, a common familyhood around our need to cooperate and become collective as a people around our economics, but also around our just Black love for each other. So again, it's the Teaching Artists Institute, and they have a Global African Kwanzaa segment. And so we're going to play some of their stuff throughout our 2 to 3 o'clock hours. Sit back and enjoy it. If you have Facebook Live or YouTube Live, hopefully you'll be able to see the video presentations that are coming through. If not, listen to the feed. It's going to be some dialogue and lectures, going to be some drumming and dance. It's going to be a little bit of everything as we pull this together and celebrate in the spirit of Ujamaa, both familyhood and also cooperative economics. So again, this is the Teaching Artists Institute, and I will talk more about them in the 3 o'clock hour. Members of the Teaching Artists Institute and members of the African Language Institute that's pulling this together, this Global African Kwanzaa segment, will be joining us in our discussion in the 3 o'clock hour about the global manifestations and actualizations of Kwanzaa and our embodiment of the Nguzo Saba. So again, 2 to 3 o'clock, hopefully if all goes well, I won't have to talk much and we can just sit back and enjoy this offering from around the world as different people speak into the spirit of the Nguzo Saba and into the spirit of Kwanzaa. So Brother Mike, if you're there, let's start with the segment that we have queued up.
The former speakers had said a lot about Ujamaa. And for me, Ujamaa is I'm pragmatic. In a pragmatic way, I will explain what Kwanzaa means to me. And the third principle is Ujamaa. We have to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters our problems and solve them together. But only that, the principle and practice, this also means that we accept that the fact that we are collectively responsible for our failures, our setbacks, as well as our victories and achievements. The best practice we aim to have a best practice is the African school. My sister Odelia have IB, and I want to practice Kwanzaa, the 7 principles. It's not just a word, it's a practice. It's not just explaining what it means, but it's also practice. So we have the African school, and in the African school, we aim to help together build the bridges to solve each other's problems. To face our challenges and think collectively how we can solve our problems. Through this African school, we start with Swahili, but we have other things like history, because without history, we don't know what our future will be. So in this case, the collective work and responsibility, we start with the practice, and our practice is the African school. We join Odelia to let this dream come true, and we aim to use this as a vehicle to work together globally and solve each other's problems in every way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate how you spoke. I mean, it's that simple.
And so again, join us as we bring different voices from around the diaspora and highlight and focus how they celebrate Kwanzaa. And again, people, different voices that you're hearing in this conversation will be joining us in our 3 o'clock hour live to have a conversation about the global celebration and the global impact of Kwanzaa. But until then, we'll play different video segments from, from their performances and other performances and I guess ways of paying tribute and respect to Kwanzaa. So Mike, if you have the drumming.
It's pretty, it's not.
Welcome back to Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari. That right there is a group of young people out of the D.C. area. If you've listened to our show on a regular basis, you've heard from my brother, good brother, every fourth Friday of the month, Obi Egbuna Jr. Those were young people in his group, the Mass Emphasis Children's Positive Action, Mass Emphasis Children's Theater Company and Positive Action Work. There's a group of young drummers out of his group. And again, celebrating Kwanzaa, he recently produced a play that really focused on how Swahili came to be the central and one of the languages, if you will, of the Black Power movement and the Pan-African movement. So again, I want to feature that and different people who've been weighing in. And also offer an opportunity for you to hit us up at 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. We're talking about Jamaa and Jamaa, the idea of familyhood and the cooperative nature of familyhood, the cooperative nature of village. I want you to share your experiences. One of the things that was important to me, as I said earlier, is that in my career, and I do a lot of work people would consider around youth development. And so I had a chance oftentimes in the different mentoring programs I worked with, particularly with young men who were, either in anger management or about to, get in trouble or further trouble in the juvenile justice system. Also with young men in incarceration and mass incarceration. One of the things that always was a resounding message from the judges, and again, like I said earlier, we all know at the end of it is the idea of destroying the family. If you listen to the libation statement that I play at the beginning of each of our shows, featuring the statement by John Henry Clark that the Ma'afa enslavement was a war. It was a war against African culture, but most specifically against the structure of the African family. And those words kind of, sit with me deeply. And I think that is something that we need to understand, that at the end of the day, this society is always trying to strip away and hollow out the strength, the integrity, the purpose, the power of the African family. When you talk about mass incarceration, you're talking about dismantling the African family. When you talk about COVID-19 and this word hollowing out, you're talking about stripping away the power and the foundation and the fortitude of the African family. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. Slavery was and is a war. The Ma'afa was and is a war against African culture, yes, but most importantly, against the structure of the African family. So on this day of Ujamaa, we want to talk about how we go into 2021, committed to resurrecting, reinforcing, restoring, if you will. You heard Mama Maisha mention the term Saruj Ta. It's an act of restoration. How do we restore the idea of family and the idea of village? Because that is the foundation of everything we need to be about. If we're going to be about anything else as it relates to our principle walk forward. This idea of the restoration of family, the idea of the restoration of village, and that restoration has to rest upon a set of principles, the Nguzo Saba as foundational for that. So hit me up with your thoughts at 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065. Toll free, 866-361-0900. Want to take some of your calls and some of your reflections on this critical conversation. But before we do, up until commercial break, I want to play a message for our global connection, again, from the Teaching Artists Institute and their global celebration of Kwanzaa. This is a family affair, y'all, and this family is a Pan-African extended family that we must also work to restore. So, Brother Mike, a message for our global connection.
So, in honoring my hero and our hero, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, I'm all going to greet you in my own mother tongue, in Kikuyu. So I'm going to say, Ohoro wanyu. And I'm going to say, you're all welcome. And thank you for having me today. I'm going to try and keep my presentation short. But so let me just start. My dear brothers and sisters, I'm very grateful and honored today to share with you the third day of Kwanzaa, Ujima. And it's, for me, Kwanzaa is a call to celebrate richness of what it means to have African roots. As a great-great-granddaughter of a Mau Mau fighter, and that's why I started with honoring the Kikuyu language, I feel very blessed and very happy to see my many aunties, grandmothers, mothers, sisters, fathers, uncles, nieces, and nephews from all over the globe. And so I welcome you all. And I stand with those who have come before me. And in the African tradition, as we have all seen with the liberation, it's always nice to say and mention those who came before us. So for me as a young African woman and as a mother, Kwanzaa offers a new dialogue on African and Black culture about our positive contribution to the world, not only the negative stigma of race, but the beauty, the history, the richness, the genius of our Africanness and our Blackness, which is at the core heart of the Kwanzaa celebration. What of course is revolutionary and unique about Kwanzaa is that it traces our African history before slavery and colonialism. And we all come from Africa. So Kwanzaa shows us that we were inventors of civilizations. We're the people who broke first from the animal kingdom. We spoke the first human truth, wrote the first basic text of human knowledge. In other words, Kwanzaa gives us a long memory, a long cultural biography. And one of these cultural biography is, of course, Ujima, which for me is a critical value system of rescuing and reconstructing our lives as people from Africa, or as people from the mother continent. When we look at Ujima from this lens, it's a process that challenges us as people of African descent to seek collectively and solve our problems collectively as a Black community, to build and maintain our community together and make your brothers and your sisters' problem our problem and solve them together. It is also recognition and respect of the fact that without collective work and struggle, progress is impossible and liberation is unthinkable. The principle of Ujima supports the fundamental assumption that Africa is not just an identity, but it's a destiny and it's a duty, it's a responsibility. Our collective identity in the long run is a collective future. This is a very important principle because it means that being your brother's keeper or your sister's keeper is just like Ubuntu. As children of Mother Africa, we are not individuals, but rather people living within a community. And in a hostile community, as we find ourselves today, no matter where we are located geographically, it is only through community solidarity that hunger, isolation, deprivation, poverty, that we will be able to survive. Because community and brotherly and sister love, cooperation, care, and sharing is what is going to build us together. So Ujima does not only mean that we should look or address ourselves to a problem, but it does imply that we should look on whether what we are doing as what we as people of African descent are doing is empowering our communities and those around us and helping them improve. Assisting each other when help is needed, thus we become a problem, we become a family, sorry. For example, one of the things that I know a lot of people from the African continent do is something called Jamaa or Susu, where women come together and collect money, or even now men are coming together and collecting money. And through that collection, they can be able to do something for themselves and thus empower themselves economically. And when they have problems or when they cannot be able to do certain stuff, then through this money that they get through the Jamaa or Susu, then that's possible. So even anywhere we are in the diaspora, we can be able to do this and help our sisters and brothers out. So Ujima expresses the interconnectedness, our common humanity, and the responsibility of individuals to each other. The family, according to the African history, is the basic social and economic center of every civilization. The family is bounds the family members, and reaffirms our commitment and responsibility to each other. So looking from the African lens, Kwanzaa transcends the narrow confines of the nuclear family as we know it now. And it extends our kinship and networks to everybody who belongs to the community. So even today, as we gather here, we are family, either near or far. By caring about each other in terms of Jamaa, we understand that no matter where we find ourselves in the globe, we are related to each other through history. In 1965, James Baldwin wrote, "For history is not merely something to be read." And indeed, the great force of history comes from the fact that we carry it within ourselves, are consciously controlled by it in many ways, and history is literally present in all that we do. So I'm trying to skip up so that I can finish up on time.
It's okay, sis. Don't rush the spirit. Just let the spirit flow.
So with Jamaa, one has a proper insurance that comes within the fundamental recognition that each individual belongs to a greater community. If then according to the
Hey Philly, I'm Councilmember Catherine Gilmore Richardson. As the holidays approach, we've all heard the news. A vaccine for COVID-19 is here. However, now is not the time to let our guard down. As COVID-19 continues to spread, keep wearing your mask, practice social distancing, and avoid large get-togethers. It will take time before we all get vaccinated. Until then, keep yourself, your family, and community safe. We will get through this pandemic together. Stay safe and stop the spread.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. Want the latest in WURD swag? Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk media. A deep dive into Harambe. Kwanzaa as a bridge to Nguzo. 365 Black with Brother Shamari. Right now on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube.
And welcome back to our deep dive conversation. If you want to join this conversation, now is your time. Hit us up at 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. Talk about familyhood, Jamaa or Ujamaa, cooperative economics, and how it's manifesting and can be manifesting in our neighborhoods, in our family, in our community as we go into 2021. Let's talk about how we begin to live the Nguzo 365 days a year. Today is Ujamaa, the fourth principle of Kwanzaa that recognizes cooperative economics. Cooperative economics encourages our community to build business and support each other to maintain ownership. Practice your cooperative economics by continuing to support WURD Radio. You can purchase an annual 4WURD membership at a discounted rate of $80 from now until January 1st. That's from now until Imani, until the first day of Kwanzaa, also known as the New Year. Becoming a 4WURD member gives you access to special events, exclusive digital content, WURD swag, VIP invitations, discounts, and our printed newsletter, WURD Press. So visit www.wurdradio.com/join for more details. Again, that's www.wurdradio.com. And I always get this wrong. It's either a / or a /, and then type the words JOIN, join, for more details. And again, if you want to join in on this conversation, now is your time. Hit us up, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. I'm going to get some callers in the mix, and then I'll jump back to our global Kwanzaa celebration, some more vignettes and footage from those sessions. Let's go to Olanian out of Nicetown. Greetings.
Greetings. I'm calling to say Ujima and Ujamaa, cooperative economics, and we want to practice cooperative economics not just during the December or the time of Kwanzaa.
Yes.
On Cecil B. Moore Avenue, and I don't know the exact address, it's on the the west side of Broad Street. There's a company or organization called Beach Company. Beach Company. And they have a phone number, which is 763-8824. There they can give you a booklet that has all the black companies that are listed in Philadelphia. And I really think it's for free. They don't sell it. So it's very warm that they are helping us buy from each other. Okay, that's basically all I had to say is Ujamaa.
Well, one more time, can you give people more information about how they get that? And I also think that, or would guess or assume, if somebody can call in and let us know, that might be available, online as well, maybe as a PDF or some other format. But again, let people know how to get access to that directory. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mama Marilyn Jewett, Iakai has a lot to do with that on a yearly basis. So if somebody can call in and give us information about how best to access that, but again, give us your knowledge, Brother Olanian, about how people can pick up that directory.
Well, dial the phone number 763-8824. I don't know if they're in the office, but they were in the office with me when I got it. And leave a message and let them know that you want this, and they are quite user friendly. Yeah. And then use it. Don't just get it and then don't use it.
That's right. You can't say you didn't know once you have it, because it's full of information that has a directory and direct contact to various black businesses in and around the city of Philadelphia. So I thank you for that acknowledgement, sir, in the spirit of Ujamaa and cooperative economics. Let's go to Reverend Bekole, line 2. Greetings.
Greetings to you. Happy Kwanzaa. Just wanted to call back in again. There were a couple of things that I wanted to say yesterday that I didn't say, and then a specific point on Ujamaa. Was real quickly, one of the things you mentioned, that you had 2 of the principles that you thought were the starting point, and I have my 2 too also, and the Kuji Chakalia, self-determination, and that particular my particular thing from that is we have to know who we are individually first, and then collectively, okay, and then move into our purpose. And then if we know who we are and we have our purpose, then we can have unity around specific goals and objectives.
Yeah.
And then specifically for Ujamaa, one of my things, and it's not always big stuff. Sometimes it's little how we say things. Okay, our mindset. We're always talking about prepare yourself to go out and get a job. Okay, and I'm not anti-job, but what I've taught my children and the young men that I've tried to mentor is prepare yourself so that you can take care of yourself financially. Okay, so that might mean getting a job, but it also might mean you starting your own business.
Right,
okay?
Definitely.
And don't limit yourself with your businesses. Okay, you don't have to do everybody. I don't want to name any particular business, but you don't have to do just one thing. Whatever your capability. I just came out of retirement. My son just graduated from college, and I came out of retirement to help him jumpstart an environmental consulting firm. Okay,
wow,
so we have to be willing to work with each other. Last year before COVID started, I started a round table with young men that I've been mentoring for more than 20 years, where we can come and sit. This is a small group. And it's an inner circle where you can talk and not worry about somebody running and go tell your business. You talk about your business. Okay, you can talk about your family. Okay, you can talk about your job, whatever you want to talk about, and everybody gets a turn. okay, and you can't criticize the person. Okay, you can add, your opinion or suggestion. Okay, or let them sound some things out, sounding board, and give them, stuff like that. So we have to start sometimes on a small scale, okay, and then be authentically black. Every place that we go, I wear dashiki, but I don't wear dashikis everywhere. Okay, that don't mean that when I don't have my dashiki on that I ain't black. Okay, and consciously, regardless of whether you're the only black person in the meeting or not, you make sure that you still use ebonics. But to a certain extent, you want people to understand you, but you don't want to change your dialect. So we can check ourselves. We need to be intentionally black, intentionally African-centered.
Yeah, and one of the ways you're intentional, I mean, how you spend your resources, how you spend your time, what you give your attention and your energy to, that's what determines who you are. That determines how you manifest and actualize. And so if you can have control over those things, what do you give your resources to? What do you give your energy and your effort and your spirit to? What do you give your attention to? And what do you give your time to? If you say, I'm going to be an African-centered steward over those 4 or 5 energies, and I'm going to let that guide me throughout my year, you will then be living in the principle of African-centeredness. And so, just take your power over those things. My resources, my time, my attention, my energy, and my spirit, my contribution, my work.
Absolutely.
Become steward over those things, and you become African. So I thank you for your call, and I thank you for your insights, Reverend.
Yes, sir. God bless you, man.
And again, if you want to share your thoughts, how do we begin to Jamaa, Ujima, Kuji Jagalia, Umoja, Kumba, Nia, Imani? It's not something that's out there nebulous and spooky. We can live these things and embody these things every day. And not only can we, I contend that we must. If anything we're serious about, anything from dealing with mass incarceration to police brutality to our, low income stuff and people lining up, having to be fed like we back in the Depression and food line, all of that stuff is a function and can be negated and overcome simply by returning to who we are and walking in the power, the dignity, and the purpose of that. We live in a culture that has tried to make us ashamed of being African. And in many ways, we are now succumbing to and abiding by and believing in and, just becoming defeated by that shame. It's time for us to rise up again. It's time for us to understand, if I control my time, if I control my attention, if I control my spirit, if I control my energy and my work, and if I control my resources, I am by all means then self-determining, Kuji Jagalia. That means I control myself, and that therefore means I will control the future that I and we come together and create on behalf of our children and the beautiful ones not yet born. Let's return. Again, we're listening to Sister Helga out of the Netherlands by way of Kenya. As she mentioned, she's a direct descendant of the Kikuyu people. You might know of the Kikuyu as the people who were central in what they call the Mau Mau uprising. So she comes from a warrior people and the people who are committed to the preservation of their land and their way. She's in the Netherlands, but she's reflecting on yesterday's principle of Ujima. Let's continue that conversation.
The African history is the basic social and economic center of every civilization. The family is bounds the family members, and it reaffirms our commitment and responsibility to each other. So, looking from the African lens, Kwanzaa transcends the narrow confines of the nuclear family as we know it now, and it extends our kinship and networks to everybody who belongs to the community. So even today, as we gather here, we are family, either near or far. By caring about each other in terms of Jamaa, we understand that no matter where we find ourselves in the globe, we are related to each other through history. In 1965, James Baldwin wrote, "For history is not merely something to be read." And indeed, the great force of history comes from the fact that we carry it within ourselves, are consciously controlled by it in many ways, And history is literally present in all that we do. So I'm trying to skip up so that I can finish up on time.
It's okay, sis. Don't rush the spirit. Just let the spirit
flow. So with Ujima, one has a proper insurance that comes within the fundamental recognition that each individual belongs to a greater community. If then, according to the African proverb that says it takes a whole village to raise a child, it also takes a whole community to uplift each other and build our communities as people from one family. A problem from us should not be an individual problem, but a community problem. Ujima-based leadership dictates sharing burdens during hard times, because by doing so, suffering is also shared and diminished. To conclude, Ujima principle teaches each family member to recognize that their own well-being is deprived from their family and community well-being, and that we should be concerned with overall health of every community member. So practicing Ujima unlocks the capacity of the African culture in which every individual expresses compassion, dignity, humanity, and mutual interest in building and maintaining communities with justice and communalities. So I rushed, I tried to rush, but for me, Ujima is very important because it means that you're your brother and your sister's keeper. And I think that's the most important thing. And as Baba Victor, if I say that correctly, has said, Nguzo Saba, these are not only principles that should only be practiced when it's on the 26th of December, but this is something that our forefathers in the African culture and in African history have been doing forever. And so when we continue that, and when we continue realizing that no matter where we are in this world or in this globe, that we are all brothers and sisters, and that we should be our brothers and sisters keepers, there's nothing more stronger than when we as people of African descent, children of Mother Africa, come together, as we have come here together to empower ourselves. And there is a real force behind that. So thank you.
Wow, thank you, Doctor. And you're based in Germany, yes?
Yes.
Yes, and are you originally from Kenya?
Yes, I am.
Wow, so this Swahili language of the Kwanzaa celebration is your mother tongue. What a blessing.
No, my mother tongue is Kikuyu.
Kikuyu, yes. Oh, okay.
We should not forget that language is culture. So I am Kikuyu. And in me, I carry that force and that history of my people. So even the 7 principles, you can also translate them into Kikuyu, which my forefathers have been doing it forever.
So please, why don't you translate for us cooperative work and responsibility in Kikuyu?
Oh, I am still learning the language, but I could try. And I think someone is here also from Kikuyu. Rose, please correct your sister if she's wrong. So
I'm here for you, sister.
Yes. So I think in Kikuyu you would say woka hamwe aduamwe uteithania na kumenya ate moro wa nyokwa kana moro wa nyina nyereka wira mwega. Did I say that correct? Rose?
That was perfect. That was perfect.
Oh my God. Honey, you're going to have to write that down for me.
Oh, that's right.
English language has really done a number.
You got to write that down.
Yes. What I wanted to add on is that...
Please put it in the chat.
Yes, what many people don't know is that almost like Swahilis in Kenya and Africa, but many people, we have our own mother tongue.
Yes.
Swahili on top of that. So most Africans can speak 3 languages.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes.
That's incredible.
And I think it's also important to say that, even the translation of the words like umoja and, all the 7 principles into Swahili. And I think Odilia mentioned this yesterday. The reason why a lot of people don't know about this in the African continent is because it's written in a language that a lot of people feel is not their mother tongue. So a lot of people who are, who speak a different language will not identify with Kwanzaa or some of the principles because they do not understand what that means. So I think if you're going to make this global, I think as Ngugi wa Thiong'o, keeps on telling us, our languages are very important, and through our languages we can actually be able to have umoja and have that sense of ujima, because then people understand what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Dr. Njeti, because we can't allow language to separate us anymore. On the first day when we talked about umoja or pomoja, we talked about the Rhythm People campaign and how we would use rhythm as that symbol, that universal tool to help us communicate beyond the language barrier. And so you're right. As we think about African people in a global context, our work and responsibility becomes more complex. And a lot of the divisions that you find are the competing agendas, right? But the competing agendas come from misunderstanding of our purpose and our mission. And until we understand that our collective work and responsibility is our perpetual survival, our continued survival, and how our survival is connected and interdependent for our Afrofuturism, we're going to continue to have problems. So I thank you for being willing to tell us about Kikuyu today, and for learning Swahili outside of your mother tongue, for learning the German that you speak when you're in Germany, for learning the English that you're speaking so that you can speak to me. Like, shout out to you, sis, Dada, for being that universal walking, talking language system that we need to connect the people. My heart is in the right place. I don't speak any of those languages. I barely speak English, sis, but my heart is in the right place. My heart is in the right place.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
This WURD Kwanzaa vignette is brought to you by Pico, Keystone Plus, and JD's Auto Body and Painting. Habari Gani from WURD Radio. The 7 days of Kwanzaa are dedicated to the Nguzo Saba, or the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Today is the 4th day of Kwanzaa, Jamaa, or collective economics. Let's use today to plan, build, and maintain our own businesses. As a family, seek out and support Black-owned businesses, as well as businesses that support your community. If you're a business owner, consider partnerships that you'd like to initiate or cultivate this year. The onWURD Small Business Program is a great way to immediately partner with us and market your company while planning family activities for the year. Build in opportunities for economic and financial education, as well as entrepreneurship and a plan to invest in your community. Today is a great day to start or renew your onWURD membership and continue to strengthen independent Black media. For more information about Kwanzaa, visit wordradio.com. This WURD Kwanzaa vignette was brought to you by Pico, powering communities, Keystone Plus, and JD's Auto Body and Painting for all your auto body and detailing needs during this holiday season. The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter. A deep dive into Harambe. Kwanzaa as a bridge to Nguzo. 365 Black with Brother Shamari. Right now on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com, the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube.
And welcome back, y'all, to our celebration of Kwanzaa on this 4th day. Jamaa, cooperative economics in the spirit of Jamaa, which is family hood. And if you want to buy Black for the holidays, we've got you covered. WURD Radio is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace. Online, support local, small, Black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Go to WURDradio.com/marketplace or WordWorks/marketplace. Again, that's www.WURDradio.com/marketplace or WordWorks, WURDworks.com/marketplace. We've been featuring in this 2 o'clock hour different vignettes and portions of the Teaching Artists Institute's Global African Kwanzaa celebration. They've been airing every day of Kwanzaa from 2 to 3 p.m. From their own site. I'm just sharing some of the festivities and some of the celebration and some of the information that they shared so that we can understand that we as African people are global people, that the key to our unity at any level is Pan-Africanism, and that contrary to the narrative that we're often fed, Pan-Africanism is alive and well. We are reaching for each other across religious barriers, across language barriers, across cultural barriers, across all kinds of impositions. We are reaching for each other. Don't let anybody convince you otherwise, that they don't like us and we don't like them and this and that and the other. No, if we're going to be free, if we're going to return and resurrect Black life, we must remember that we are Black life, and that Black life is African life, and that we are our brothers and sisters keepers, we are family, and that the key to our return to one another will be a commitment to mutual support, mutual connection, mutual cooperation. So again, that's the Teaching Artists Institute Global African Kwanzaa celebration, and members of the Teaching African Institute will be joining us in the 3 o'clock hour. Teaching Artists Institute, sorry about that, will be joining us in the 3 o'clock hour to have more of a conversation regarding some of the topics and some of the information that's been shared. So I'm going to close out this hour with one more clip and vignette from them, featuring the Magoma Moto from Bagamoyo, Tanzania, performing their celebration of Kwanzaa. Brother Mike, take it away.
Kwanza ambayo inajumuisha Waafrika kutoka maeneo mbalimbali ya duniani. We are happy to cooperate with you on celebrating this kind of celebration. We as Africans, and we are in Tanzania, in Africa, the motherland. You know, this is your home, and we are warmly welcoming you to come back home. Here is your home, and what we are going to perform is to show you our original culture. So we have to back in our roots. We are Magoma Moto. We are in Bagamoyo. Karibu sana. Thank you very much.
America's biopharmaceutical companies are making progress against COVID-19, now with several promising vaccine candidates in phase 3 clinical trials. With an effort to include people from every walk of life, these trials involve tens of thousands of participants. From development to clinical trials and throughout the manufacturing process, these medicines and vaccines are rigorously tested for safety and effectiveness. Go to pharma.org/coronavirus for updates. Because science is how we get back to normal. Paid for by Pharma.
Listen to Laborers Live. We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, kind of work people more than 8 hours out overtime, kind of work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Want to buy black for the holidays? WURD Radio has got you covered. WURD is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Visit wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. A deep dive into Harambe. Kwanzaa as a bridge to Nguzo. 365 Black with Brother Shamari. Right now on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com, the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube.
And welcome back to our deep dive into Kwanzaa, the Nguzo Saba with Brother Shamari. Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari comes at you every Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. and again on Sundays from 6 to 8 p.m. But I had the special privilege and honor of sitting in these 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, to celebrate Kwanzaa, particularly a focus on Ujima yesterday, collective work and responsibility. And today, Ujamaa, cooperative economics, and Jamaa, familyhood. I'll be back at it again on Friday in my normal time slot from 1 to 4, where we will celebrate the last day of Kwanzaa, Imani, and looking forward to creating a celebratory atmosphere on Friday and also bring in the new year, 2021, January 1st. So trying to put Imani and some faith and belief and hope such that we kick off 2021 in that spirit, coming off a very trying 2020. So we want to bring the spirit back and get the spirit right so that we can walk in our unity, walk in our self-determination, walk in our collective work and responsibility, walk in our cooperative economics and familyhood, walk in our creativity, walk in our purpose, walk in our creativity, and walk in our hope, faith, and belief. So I'm going to hold on a little bit because if everything goes well, some of the sisters whose voices you just heard in the previous segment, part of the Teaching Artists Institute and the African Language School, should be joining us to talk about just the global reach and global outreach of Kwanzaa, and particularly our global outreach to each other in the pursuit of our Pan-African brotherhood, sisterhood, and familyhood. So sit back a little while. I'm going to go back and play some more of again, the Young Brothers drumming from the Mass Emphasis Children's Theater Company, overseen and run and managed by my good brother Obi Egbuna Jr., who joins us every Friday, fourth Friday of the month, not every Friday, fourth Friday of the month, right here on Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari. The sisters are transitioning from their 2 to 3 o'clock piece that they do and have been doing every day in celebration of Kwanzaa. And so they might not get here exactly at 3 o'clock, might not get here exactly when. So during this time, if you want to weigh in and continue our conversation about Ujamaa and your plans for cooperation going into 2021. How do you plan on, and what ideas do you have for us to work together cooperatively around our economics? But again, working cooperatively also around our time, our attention, our energy, our spirit, our resources. How can we begin to become way more intentional and purposeful around that effort? Hit me up at 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. Now's the time for you to join our conversation. Feel free to also post your comments on Facebook Live. Visit us at WURD Radio on Facebook Live or YouTube Live. Don't leave us hanging, y'all. Celebrate and join in, listen, but also watch and observe. One of the things I got to make sure we get on top of, because I know I really wanted you all to see the dancing that went along with the drumming that you heard in our previous segment, because it really tells a story. And if you were able to see that, and hopefully I'll be able to post this up on my Facebook page at some point, but it's a story that was about a fight over young people, and this attempt to impose a particular external or foreign culture on them, and they're fighting to hold on to their traditional culture. And so that the drum rhythms you heard also were accompanied by a dance that really showed that in this particular instance, the foreign imposition looked more like Christianity and more specifically Catholicism, and just that push and pull between holding on to the tradition and not allowing yourself, and particularly our young people, to be pulled away from that tradition, but to still see it as something worthy of honor. So, we're going to figure out how to do this thing, because I want everybody to get that visual as well as the audio experience of the stories that were being told throughout that segment from 2 to 3 o'clock. And again, it's with the people of the Teaching Artists Institute and the African Language School. That's what they're about, and that's what we're going to talk about when they join us later on in 3 o'clock hour. But until then, if you want to hit us up, 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. Let's talk Ujamaa. Let's talk Nguzo Saba. Let's talk Kwanzaa. Let's talk Harambee. And until then, Brother Mike, hit me with my drum call.
Our task is to know our past and honor it, to engage our present and improve it, to imagine our good future and to forge it.
Umoja, unity. Kuji, self-determination. Ujima, collective work and responsibility.
Ujamaa,
cooperative economics. Nia, purpose.
Kumba,
creativity. Imani, faith. The Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa.
Umoja,
Kuji,
Ujamaa,
Ujamaa,
Nia,
Kumba,
Imani.
The 7 principles of the Nguzo Saba. Kwanzaa was created to introduce and reinforce 7 basic values of African culture, which contribute to building and reinforcing family, community, and culture among African American people, as well as Africans throughout the world African community. These values are called the Nguzo Saba, which in Swahili means the 7 principles. Developed by Dr. Karenga, the Nguzo Saba stand at the heart of the origin and meaning of Kwanzaa. For it is these values which are not only the building blocks for community, but also serve to reinforce and enhance them. The first principle is umoja, which means unity. To strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. The second principle is kujichagulia, which means self-determination. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. The third principle is ujima, which means collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. The fourth principle is ujamaa, which means cooperative economics. To build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. The fifth principle is nia, which means purpose. To make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. The sixth principle is Kumba, which means creativity. To do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. The seventh principle is Imani, which means faith. To believe with all of our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle.
Welcome back to Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari and our celebration of Kwanzaa. Again, Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations comes at you every Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. and then again on Sundays from 6 to 8 p.m. That's our normal time slot. And this week we're doing a special celebration of Kwanzaa. So I had the privilege of being with you yesterday from 1 to 4 p.m. in the spirit of Ujima. And today, in the spirit of Ujamaa, having the chance to be with you. And you heard previously, as we played some vignettes and some snippets and some lecture and some celebration from the Teaching Artists Institute, their celebration of the Global African Kwanzaa celebration. I'm privileged to be joined, hopefully, by several of the sisters from that collective group of powerful work. I see Sister Kim is here with us. So Sister Kim, if you can unmute yourself and we can begin our dialogue, and as everybody else filters in, we'll welcome them accordingly. So greetings, welcome. How are you?
Greetings, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, trying to coordinate a lot of things. I'm sure you understand how even what they're doing an hour or 3 hours, trying to pull all of these things together in this virtual context. It's no joke. So, we're making that happen. So what I'm going to do is jump right in right now before a commercial break and introduce yourself to our listening audience. You happen to be right here on the east side of the United States of America, but you're a driving force behind coordinating a lot of that, the global celebration of Kwanzaa. So talk about yourself, your institute, and how that all came together, who the players are that we'll be talking with after commercial break.
Nice. So I founded the Teaching Artists Institute with a collective of artists in December of 2015. And it's really important for us that we make sure that we have artists at decision-making tables. So we decided that artists needed to be a part of what we call cultural curation and community development, teaching other sectors how to wield the art of possibility. Art is sometimes seen as just the aesthetic. Artists are the hired help. They're the entertainment. Right. I'm a fusion performer. I sing soul music. And I guess I've been doing it. I sang before I spoke. So they thought that I was going to be a mute because I was the kid that learned the ABCs because it was a song. And they wasn't sure if I was going to be able to keep up. So music has definitely been the soundtrack of my life and my engagement in community development. And the Teaching Artists Institute has been an expression of that. As a soul fusion artist, I began performing on the tourist circuit in different countries, primarily on the continent. They would book my band and they would invite us to sing as a part of Ghana's emancipation celebration. They would go to Nigeria, in Musan. That's an international school in Lagos that does a focus on jazz and Nigerian culture of the Yoruba people. And when I went to these areas, I realized that those were the practitioners that were there outside of me convening the spaces. A lot of them were European. And then as I began to move into East Africa and Lusaka and Zambia, I realized that those practitioners and conveners were Asians, primarily Chinese. So there seemed to be everybody at the decision-making table outside of African people, and especially not the artists. And so when I returned back to the US, I decided that the Teaching Artists Institute was necessary. We didn't have language around what that would look like at that time, but we knew for a fact that it had to be something where artists understood their responsibility and the influence that they had as artists in civic engagement. And because artists are the bullhorn, they're what get the people riled up, the masses engaged, keeping them informed of what's happening, like reporters for the hood. I've heard people say that, and it's true. And what I realized is that my music, because of its international appeal, took me into places that artists from my neighborhood hadn't had the opportunity to be in. And so essentially what I decided to do this year for Kwanzaa was to use my art to partner with some of the community institutions around the world to ensure that they help me celebrate this year. Kwanzaa, as a celebration for Black people in the US, is kind of like a rite of passage. you're Black when you're born, and somewhere along that journey, somebody tells you about your history beyond slavery. Because the school systems here, they don't talk much about that. But hopefully through your community connections and your community education, your street university, so to speak, right. Somewhere along that journey, you learn that our history was longer than the Harriet Tubmans that emancipated us from the enslavement of this land. And you start to make the connection between our state of royalty, the brokenness of the Ma'afa or the transatlantic enslavement trade, and where we are today. And then at some point you realize that African Americans in many ways are in leadership. When it comes to identity, the African identity in the diaspora, you realize that institutions like Kwanzaa and our attempt to liberate ourselves and educate ourselves is now going to be a source of liberation and cultural identity for the world. When I think about African countries and their leadership emancipating themselves out of the colonization, Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana, Jomo Kenyatta in Kenya, I mean, Patrice Lumumba, when you think about all of their leadership that emancipated them from colonization, their leadership looked to us in the diaspora. They look to Marcus Garvey. Kwame Nkrumah's Black Star on the Ghanaian flag is representative of the Black Star line from Marcus Garvey's Pan-Africanist movement.
A couple of things. How do we miss passing that story down? Because I think, like, even when you look at the red, black, and green being, in many of the African national flags, right? This idea that there is a commonality that has always been recognized, and then all of a sudden we have these storytellers that try to make it seem like we don't connect and we're not a connected people. So what do we miss in the storytelling such that we're at this point where in 2020 we believe that we're not brothers and sisters and that we're not family?
Well, to be honest, I would say I put the responsibility in the hands of the artist class. I'm an artist, and art for African people has always been an extension of what the community needs. We're practitioners in community development. And so when you now create a class of artists that are disconnected from community development and the trajectory that we're on culturally as African people, now you have art or stories that are produced that have nothing to do with who we are as a people, have nothing to do with our agenda. When you look at institutions as powerful as Nollywood, I mean, Nollywood is incredible. I mean, you've got actors that are now penetrating Hollywood's market from the Nollywood market. Martin Luther King, he's a Nollywood actor. Harriet Tubman, she was trained in Nollywood, even though she was trained in Europe. She was cultivated and promoted in Nollywood. So many, even the Coretta Scott King of the Martin Luther King movie, she's from Nollywood. So when you look at institutions that are as powerful as Nollywood and you see the stories that they tell, and you realize that they don't speak to our history, they don't speak to our liberation, you realize that there is a disconnect that is affecting us in ways that we don't yet even have the vocabulary for explaining. But it's not too late.
That's right. And so let's do some of that when we come back, come up on a commercial break. When we come back, what I want you to do, Sister Kim, the other powerful sisters that finally joined us, I want you to just introduce each of them, have them kind of introduce themselves. And I'm really interested in how you all came together and what your mission is in coming together, and how Kwanzaa and this global celebration of Kwanzaa, I believe, is a springboard for a lot of powerful, great things. So when we come back, I'm handing it off to you to introduce and pull each of them in, let them have their space. This is Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari, part of our week-long celebration of Kwanzaa right here, WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. We will talk with you after these messages.
I'm Anthony McLaughlin. Been denied insurance? Call 215-782-8574. Life insurance, age 0 to 85, no examination needed. Homeowners insurance, any home, any condition, same-day coverage. 215-782-8574. Auto insurance, we can have you covered in 15 minutes. business insurance. Call 24 hours a day, 215-782-8574. I'm Anthony McGlaughlin. When you need insurance, I can help.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
Do you want to help kids in foster care? CASA Youth Advocates is seeking volunteers of color to advocate for the youth they serve. 50% of kids in the Delaware and Chester County foster care system are children of color, yet only 9% of CASA Youth Advocate volunteers are people of color. Children in foster care greatly benefit from advocates who look like and can relate to them. They desperately need more volunteers of color. Visit delcocasa.org for more info. That's www.delcocasa.org.
A deep dive into Harambe. Kwanzaa as a bridge to Nguzu. 365 Black with Brother Shamari. Right now on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube.
And welcome back. The gang's all here, so we're going to jump right in. I'm going to hand it off to Sister Kim to introduce her squad and tell us about this global African Kwanzaa celebration. Sister Kim.
So like most things in existence, the global African Kwanzaa, it was really an idea and concept that was birthed out of the global African Sheroes Union. So Black women, as you know, we are the mothers of culture, creed, custom, the development of civilization. We carry that in our womb. So that's the same with the creation of ideas. So you look around this table, our virtual table on today's show, and you see that you're surrounded by African women from all over the world. So we're all a part of
and I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for providing that balance, that energy balance that we need. And so my African sisters, we're all into various different businesses across sector. So I kind of do things in the culture space. Sister Angela, she's just a financial literacy coach and accountant and professor. You have Sister Odilia in the Netherlands. She's working in the culture space as it relates to language preservation and education. And then you have Miriam Nwembegu, who is also in the education space as it relates to tourism and authentic tourism. And so as a result of us being a part of the Shero Sisterhood, we realized that finding spaces to celebrate our connection across sector is important because we have a lot of stories. You mentioned the narrative and the story. Where did we lose that part of the story where our history was beyond slavery and how far we've come since then? Well, a part of this Kwanzaa celebration was us ensuring as sisters, as African women, that we tell the right story this year. A lot has happened this 2020, but we got through it. That needs to be told. We need to make sure that we highlight this moment in history. We can't let this year pass without talking about what we were able to do to survive, coming together as African sisters to support each other's initiatives and businesses, and most importantly, to promote and preserve the African identity in the diaspora in order to reclaim our global cultural economy. So the sister part is first. Yes.
And that's an important part. That's why, it's important. We had this conversation about Jamaa and Ujamaa, that sisterhood and brotherhood that has to underlie the cooperative economics. So let's do that in the spirit of that. I'm going to just call the names as I see them. I just want each of you to kind of briefly introduce yourself and kind of, you all just had an event from 2 to 3. Give us some highlights from that event or from the Kwanzaa celebration you've been doing all week long. So Sister Odilia, I see you first. I want to jump to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for giving us this space. I'm originally from Kenya, but I live here in the Netherlands, and after losing a bit of my identity here, I decided I am going to reclaim it. And I founded the African School in the Netherlands. So if you just Google African School in the Netherlands, I have a team that is helping me, give our culture accessible to people who need it. We teach Swahili, we write Swahili books. And we also do teach history and culture. And the professors who teach our history, we strictly get people who have grown up in Africa. Yes, because you grow up in a culture and the history itself. So that is what we do, and we just love it.
Let me ask a question I'm sure is on a lot of people's mind. How in the hell you end up in the Netherlands?
That's a good question, but I came here through marriage.
Okay, all right.
But I decided I will hold on to my culture. Otherwise, I will lose my sanity.
All right, that's good to know. Let's go to Mariam. Greetings.
Hi, greetings. I'm Mariam Winyimbegu, and I got in the Shiro sisterhood through Sister Odelia, who got it from Kim. So there's like a perfect link going on here. It was Odelia who introduced me to Kim. I'm originally from Tanzania, so I'm neighbors with Odelia. We are both Swahili speakers. And I've been in the Netherlands for the past 30 years. And well, unlike Odelia, I didn't come here because of love. I came here because my father came to work here when I was 8. So I've been here since 8. I'm now 42.
Wow.
So I've been here for quite a while, but as long as I can remember, coming here, I had one mission, and that mission was to learn and return. So I was very, very, very aware, and I tried my best not to lose my identity. And that's what I've always been rebelling against the European culture, and just staying true to myself, to my religion. So I'm all about authenticity. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a PhD on authentic tourism right now. So that's what I'm busy with. And I was very happy to host Kim and Angela and Haki in Tanzania, in my hometown. And,
Which is where? What's your hometown?
Tanzania, in Bagamoyo.
Okay, all right.
Bagamoyo, which is the old capital of East Africa. It's also the capital of slave trade in East Africa. And we always say, if you don't know where you came from, you need to start looking at Bagamoyo. The Book of Slaves started in Bagamoyo.
Right.
So everybody's registered over there.
Thank you. It's a pleasure meeting you. Sister Angela from back over here in Cleveland, Ohio.
In the building. Well, I connected with Sister Kim Poo at a Global African Diaspora Conference over in DC, Baltimore, about 5 years ago. The universe, the ancestors, the creator brought us together. We had a common interest. It was about 300 participants, and it was all about the stuff we're still working on. How can we be collective as Africans throughout the world in the diaspora? Kim was one of the organizers, and she also facilitated a think tank for arts and culture. And I happened to take my oldest son with me to that conference, and he's an artist. And so she roped him in, and she made the connection with him. And from there, we kicked it off. And we've been rocking ever since. As a matter of fact, my son went on the conference and tour with us to Tanzania last month.
He ain't never come back.
He ain't back. He's still there. So he, we've stayed connected on many levels, personally, professionally, socially, and business. And, she asked me to work with the Global African Sheroes Union and do work at the UN. Of course, that was a transition from the work I had did with MWM 20. And since then, I've been in the position of chair and international host for the organization. So we've just expanded our women advocacy and our business model, and we're working on using African sisterhood as a business development model. And that, you know, is the practice of extended family and cooperative economics, in which we're celebrating Ujamaa today.
So they usually say behind every great man is a great woman, but in this case, I think I saw a brother sneak up behind a great woman, Sister Kim. So I want that brother to get a chance to acknowledge himself in the space. Is that brother Hak?
Yes, it's brother Haki, the success teller here. Yeah, I'm doing well, brother. It's good to hear and good to see the Philadelphia City of African Resistance in Philadelphia. What is it? Not Banneker. You call it Banneker? Not Banneker. That's DC. What is Philadelphia?
Right now, I don't know, man. So I ain't even gonna claim no. I ain't repping Philly like that right now, man. But it's a lot of things. We're gonna get it back. We gotta get our mojo back, man. We got a little soft over the years, over the centuries, man. We gotta get our fight back. So until we get our fight back, I ain't repping it like that. But what I want y'all to talk about a little bit is Ujamaa. And today, just give us a little insight, because number one, you all do something and are doing something every day from 2 to 3. So let our listening audience know about your Global African Celebration, how they can tune in, and what you hope to come from that. Anybody want to weigh
in? I would like to say something. I wasn't a speaker today. I was a speaker on day 2. But I also like to say something today. For me here, what we see, guys on the radio can't see, but what we see here today is a true representation of Ujamaa. And like a Swahili speaker, the word Jamaa, Ujamaa comes from the word Jamaa. And your Jamaa is your, maybe in your American English, you call your people, your peeps. So it's not your family. Family is ndugu. And your Jamaa are your extended families, like Angela explained. These are not members of the family. These are families you accumulated through your networking. So what you see here today is a good representation of Ujamaa. We are all Jamaas from each other's.
Come on, keep building. I like that. She set the table. What y'all got?
Right. Well, I'll just say that I also wasn't a speaker today. Of course, the Teaching Artists Institute is a co-host of the celebration in its totality. But the artist that performed today, you may have noticed that his T-shirt said, "Culture is the new currency." That incredible artist, his name is John Gambula. He's also based in Bagamoyo, Tanzania. And I'll be sure to make sure we post his link so that you all can support his organization. He creates his own instruments from recycled goods in his community. That level of creativity is something that has always been indicative of our people and the source of our financial development and sustainability, our creativity. But what I want to highlight about what our motto is, which was written on his T-shirt, "Culture is the new currency," is that we are practitioners of that culture. Mariam, you hit it on the head when you say that today we were an example of culture being the new currency. Coming together, being able to connect, being in the same space long enough to like each other, to build something, communicating effectively. The reason that we aren't building the Ujamaa that we need in our community is not because of the economics part. We understand the system that we live in. We have the ability and innovation to tailor it to what we need. We have problems with the relationship part, with the communication part, being able to stand each other. We've been in European systems of capitalism and socialism for so long. We in the diaspora have lived in these individual houses with individual driveways and desks with cubicles. And we've just been so separated for so long. We don't even like people. We don't like each other. And so when we say that we want to build a system where resources are evenly distributed, when we say we want a system where we all have enough, and then we flourish and we thrive to the point where we live in abundance, that starts with foundational value system. And so when we say culture is the new currency in the Teaching Artists Institute, we're talking about that part. So today's program had an artist that featured that motto, and I hope you guys, when you see the video, you catch that.
And I'm gonna try to make sure we grab that and feature it on Friday's show in particular when we connect with you all again. But it's funny, I used to be one who said, like, I'm naturally an introvert and I don't really like people. It's just part of the job I do, so I have to act like it. But I didn't realize how much I like people until this COVID joint came, and like this virtual joint is for the birds, man. It is. I never want to get used to this way of connecting with Black people. So I realized, sorry, I take it all back. I actually like people, and I want people back in my life. Help, Sister Odelia, I'm wondering how did Kwanzaa get over to you? And was it something that you were aware of while you were back in Kenya, or did you find it in the Netherlands? Give us a sense of your Kwanzaa.
Not at all. I didn't know. I have never heard of Kwanzaa. Many of my Jamaas in Kenya have never heard of Kwanzaa. And I think it should be 99.5% who have no clue of what happens, of what Kwanzaa is. So having an African school, I'm very curious, and my main mission is actually to unite with, brothers and sisters from Africa, the continent, with our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. That is one of the main mission of African school. So when I heard about Kwanzaa, I said, no, we have to celebrate this. And we are on a mission to bring it to Africa. Because the 7 principles are so important. And that is our culture. Those 7 principles are African culture. Africans know them.
Yeah.
Just maybe cannot, name them, but that is what they practice. That is what our ancestors practiced. And I really wanted just to touch shortly about today. It was about, cooperatives also. We had our first speaker. And we have always wondered, what if our brothers and sisters from America came and invested in Africa? Would we have the Chinese grabbing the resources that are there? So my request is, our brothers and sisters in America, come, you're welcome to Africa, and you can help us build.
Appreciate that.
That's where I jump in.
Okay, Angela, I'm gonna let you take that one because I definitely have to respond. Because I'm gonna let
so I got to set the table here because we're coming up on a commercial break. Before, what I want to do is I want to go to Miriam real quick. I want to hear about her connection to Kwanzaa when it kind of became a thing for her. We got to go to commercial. When we come back, I'll let Angela and then Kim have the final word before we sign out on today's episode of Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari, right here, WURD Radio 96.1 FM, 900 AM. Sister Miriam, how did Kwanzaa come into your sphere?
The same way Shiro's came, Kim, Odelia, Angela, the same way. I've never heard of it before, but it's also not something that I can say that I was missing as an African. I felt like Odelia said, I live the Kwanzaa principle, the 7 principles. I live by those. I live here in Europe, but when I shop African. When I travel African. The way I dress African. So the principles to me have always been there. It's the reason why I know Odelia, even though she lives miles away from me, I still know her because I look for my people. It's strange, you leave your continent and then the first thing you do is you look for your people. But, why did I leave the continent if I was looking for my people? But yeah, for me, I never heard of it, but I'm glad I heard of it, and I support Odelia that we need to connect with the American sisters, brothers and sisters. People like Odelia and I are still connected to the continent. We still speak the language. We still have the culture. I go at least twice a year to Tanzania to my family. So I haven't lost the culture. So if you want to go back to the way the ancestors worked before, Odelia and I are the best people to connect to. And definitely please come and invest in Africa. Don't let the Asians come and take everything away. And it's up to us to build Africa.
Well, we're definitely going to make some space, hopefully, to talk a lot more about that as we come into 2021 and really solidify and amplify these types of bonds, because at the end, I'm a Pan-Africanist at heart, and I believe that for all of us, no matter where we're located, if we're going to return to any sense of our power and sovereignty wherever we are, we're only going to get there by being and embodying our Pan-African soul and spirit and purpose. So I appreciate you all joining us. We're coming up on a commercial break. When we come back, we'll sign off. I close the segment. I want to hear a little bit more from Sister Angela, since she said she'll take that, and give Sister Kim the final words. And then we'll close out with one of my favorite songs by Sweet Honey and the Rock, their version of the Nguzo Saba. So stay tuned.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Hi, my name is Councilman Bobby Heenan. As the holidays approach, we've all heard the news. A vaccination for COVID-19 is coming, but it's going to take some time before we are all vaccinated. So do not let your guard down. We all know someone who got sick with COVID-19. So keep wearing your mask, practice social distancing, avoid large get-togethers, keep yourself, your family, and your community safe. We will get through this pandemic together. Stay safe and stop the spread.
This WURD Kwanzaa vignette is brought to you by the Curtis Institute of Music. Habari Gani from WURD Radio. The 7 days of Kwanzaa are dedicated to the Nguzo Saba, or the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Today is the 4th day of Kwanzaa, Jamaa, or collective economics. Let's use today to plan, build, and maintain our own businesses. As a family, seek out and support Black-owned businesses, as well as businesses that support your community. If you're a business owner, consider partnerships that you'd like to initiate or cultivate this year. The 4WURD Small Business Program is a great way to immediately partner with us and market your company while planning family activities for the year. Build in opportunities for economic and financial education, as well as entrepreneurship and a plan to invest in your community. Today is a great day to start or renew your 4WURD membership and continue to strengthen independent Black media. For more information about Kwanzaa, visit wordradio.com. This WURD Kwanzaa vignette was brought to you by the Curtis Institute of Music. The Curtis Institute of Music educates and trains exceptional young musicians. And to ensure that admissions are based solely on artistic promise, Curtis makes an investment in each admitted student so that no tuition is charged for their studies. Meet Curtis today at curtis.edu. Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. A deep dive into Harambe. Kwanzaa as a bridge to Nguzo. 365 Black with Brother Shamari. Right now on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com, the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube.
And welcome back to the final segment of Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari today. I hope I got my history right, but I want to do a history quiz before we return. What great Black shero? Y'all heard that commercial about the Curtis Institute. What great Black shero had some struggles, might have even been rejected. Her talent was not appreciated in her attempt to be a student at the Curtis Institute right here in Philadelphia? Anybody know?
I feel bad. I'm an artist. I should know this.
Yeah, I expected you to know this, Kim. I thought I was giving you a softball right down your lane. I'm gonna ask y'all to do some homework. Next time we talk on Friday, I want the answer to that question because y'all should know that. So coming back as promised, I'm going to Angie, Sister Angela. And by the way, Brother Yusuf gave you a shout out. He said, good seeing you again. If you remember Brother Yusuf Nuruddin. But Sister Angela.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Brother Shamari. Well, here on Ujamaa, and we're talking about, the Nguzo Saba principles and particularly extended family and how that, ties into cooperative economics. I think it's interesting, and I think it's pivotal and historical and timely that, our sisters that reside in Europe and other areas, they weren't familiar with the principles of Kwanzaa, although they are familiar with the principles as a way of life. And of course, the words come from their culture. So I think that in the cycle of life, things come full circle. And I think this is a reflection of just the revolution of how things have a beginning and an end and a continuation. And so I definitely see this time as a circle, and with us being in a winter solstice and a lot of things are in alignment, I just think it's in divine order that these principles, move and shift from and shift around, and that now it becomes a totality. So, having said that, it's a blessing and a blessing to be part of the movement, because this is our culture, and of course it does translate to currency. And when we talk about how to unite America's people of African descent in North America and in other places back to the continent and to the resources, and how we should be reallocating, our resources to build. That's right up my alley, of course. As the founder of the Institution of Financial Unity, we're all about the financial development of the global Black community, furthering the work of Dr. Claude Anderson, so that we can see more of our people not just be spenders and borrowers, but be investors, producers, and owners. And Africa presents an incredible opportunity for our future. I'm telling you, when we touched the ground in Tanzania and got to immigrations, they said, take that mask off. There is no COVID here. You're gonna look strange in our country walking around with a mask on. And it was the Live Breathe tour, and we were able to live and breathe even if it wasn't for that short time. And when you're living and breathing, you can think, you can be creative, you can bring all of your artistic and cognitive skills together. And thanks to Mariam, we've had an offer of some land over there, and so we're putting together a land and investment tour for the fall of 2021, of which I will be hosting. We're also doing 2 other tours in collaboration with the Teaching Artists Institute, which Kim will talk about. But I just want to say it's just a timely time for us to manifest the things that we know we need to do. And to
how do people reach the Institute for Financial Unity?
Yes, you can visit our website at financialunity.org, financialunity.org. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Financial Unity, and then we will connect with you. Thank you.
And we got to make sure we bring the Jamaa with the Ujamaa. That's all I'm saying. It's not about just seeking the economic opportunity. That would make us no different than the European or the Asian exploiters. So when we return and as we connect with each other, we have to do so in the spirit of the Jamaa. We have to bring the Jamaa to the Ujamaa. Sister Kim, 2 minutes, talk to us. And I know you were researching on that question, so you should be able to answer me now. I saw you were down there Googling.
Like, no, to be honest, I'm like, man, what era of history is this? Like, I remember the Black Lily and Jill Scott and the Roots. I'm like, oh my God.
Too recent. No, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you.
What are you talking about?
It was Nina Simone.
Oh no. Oh.
Yeah, when she auditioned for the Curtis as a piano student, and they said they wasn't feeling it.
Can you imagine?
Yes, can you imagine?
She's one of my influences musically, a part of my musical
That's why I thought you had this. I thought I was setting you up for a home run. All right, Kim, now you got 90 seconds.
Right. I mean, all I would say is that culture is the new currency.
All right, we might have to come back to, I don't know if I froze or she froze. So I'm gonna hand it off to Miriam, and then we'll come back to Kim at the end, hopefully.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Just how people reach out to you and stay in touch with your powerful work.
Okay. Before I go there, I'm not an artist, but I like to sing a song, very short nursery song that was sung to my great-grandmother before she was shipped away as a slave. And it goes like this, and this is important for today. It goes like this. Zoom, 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 mama nyukilia we. Zoom, 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 mama nyukilia we. Ruka mbali katafute uwazuli kwa chakula. Zoom, 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 mama nyukilia we. Now that song talks about a flock of bees to fly far away to collect food, but come back home. Because what do bees do? They go and collect, they look for the most beautiful flowers, they collect what they need, and they come back home and they build their comb. And this is what we need to do as Jamaa. As Jamaa, all the Jamaas need to get together, come back home. And you can find me at www.bswahili.com. B as in be, to be or not to be, and Swahili together.com. All about authentic Tanzanian experience.
Appreciate you, my sister. Sister Odelia.
Yes. First of all, I just feel like I'm in Nairobi because there is a lot of Swahili going on. I hear Harambe, Jamaa, Ujamaa. So I just feel at home. And I will just be short. We teach Swahili. Anybody who is interested in learning Swahili, we have written books. You can find us at www.internationalafricanschool.org.
One more time. Say it one more time.
www.internationalafricanschool.org.
All right. Thank you, my sister. Great meeting you today. Sister Kim, you back with us?
Yeah.
If so, you were, and then you weren't. So Sister Angie, can you give us at least her website and an email address or whatever?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I hear you now. Yeah, we need to know how to reach you.
Yes. Yes, my time is short. I just want to make sure you can go to our Facebook page, family. We are so bad at social media. We know people all around the world, and we have like 10 likes on our Facebook page. Please connect with us there. Facebook.com/teaching artist, TATEACHING artist. Follow us there. We're going to be doing Kwanzaa all week long, and then on Friday end again with Brother Shamari. So stay connected, fam. The story doesn't end today. This is just one stop. We still have 3 more days to go, and we want you all week long.
All right, and that's what we're doing. Well, I'll talk to you all again on Friday as we celebrate both Imani, faith, belief, hope, and the new year right here as we transition from 2020 into 2021. Thank you, my sisters, for joining us. Those are some sheroes y'all see up there, y'all African sheroes, and we're going to go out with some of our African sheroes. Sweet Honey in a Rock, and their version of the Nguzo Saba. I'll talk with y'all on Friday.
Umoja, unity that brings us together. Umoja, unity that brings us together. Umoja, unity that brings us together. Kuji chagulia. WURD.